hard to find a reason to. People worry about their jobs, spouse, and revenue. We'll make it through, never stress about that, cause we bounce back. Yo, we coming stronger than ever. Feel the pressure, no matter what, we only get better. People want change, you know we gain range together, yeah. I give my all when performing. Put your hands up if it's chill hop you're supporting. All I do is kick incredibly dope shit.
And welcome back to round 6, I believe it is, Max.
It is round 6 indeed.
Round 6. So we're going to get into round 6 pretty soon. We're just getting the players set up over there. But Max, are you excited to see this match?
I am most definitely excited. So I've been told that both of these players are X1-1, so 3 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw. So they are right on the cusp of being able to make our top 8 cut today.
And being able to make top 8 is quite an accomplishment, especially for a game that's only just come out. And I do believe I heard that one of the players there, it is their very first TCG, so an incredible accomplishment in just that alone.
Yes, most definitely. So it'll be very exciting to see how this game goes. I had a quick look at the list, and it looks like we have a yellow aggro deck versus the white control deck.
We haven't seen that yet, so I am very interested to see how that plays, because we do know that white plays very control and very sort of mid-range and sort of board-heavy, but with yellow just swinging constantly for very, very little value, it's going to be a bit of a rough one for white, I believe.
Yeah, it'll definitely be an interesting matchup. As we saw before with the Monkey Elk, that card can be quite a big problem, especially with a suppression on the field.
Yeah, Elk is definitely a big issue in whites, and one of those cards that, even if your opponent Ice Shield, it's still burning a life, which is quite insane.
Yes, indeed. So it'll be very cool to see how this game goes. I think we just got a little bit longer before we start it.
Beautiful, no worries. So, Max, how was testing last night, though? You said you opened some packs and you were able to test some decks?
Yeah, I was able to open 2 boxes last night, which was amazing. I built a white-purple list inspired by what we saw on stream yesterday, with some of those Cavalier Lances to draw a card on play, the Camelots to gain curse, and some castles to draw some extra cards.
So you were inspired by Luke's deck, were you?
Yes, I very much was.
So was I, to be honest, but I wanted to play yellow more than anything, so I will be trying to sneakily grab Luke's list when I can, and I'll be stealing that for myself. But I did open a couple of boxes last night, so I managed to get 4 boxes and 2 of each starter deck, which was very great. So I'm now equipped to be able to play just about every colour, but I am missing a few cards, so I might have to steal your cards, Max.
That's fair enough.
I'm not sorry. I'm taking your cards.
Okay. Well, I don't think I've got much of a choice about it, so we'll have to let that happen.
I'm taking your cards. You don't have a choice.
Okay. Well, I do think it'll be really cool, especially if you're able to build that white-red list we saw yesterday as well.
I did get 4 of those 7 cost, and 1 being an alt art. So I am very excited to play that, because that was very, very cool. But it looks like we are moving on to the round 6 match now. Just getting ready, and players just sort of starting out and deciding who goes first, I believe.
So we have Ella versus Anthony here. It will be a very good game. And it was Ella who was playing the yellow aggro deck, with Anthony playing the white control.
Oh, lovely.
Yes, don't let the color of the sleeves fool you.
No, we haven't seen too much yellow on stream. I believe we only saw the 1 yellow deck game, which was round 1, which did do quite well, but we didn't see it go to its full potential. So I am interested to see how this player plays it, especially being into round 6 and being X1-1. I'd like to see how well they do.
Yeah, definitely. And one interesting thing I realized yesterday was these players are allowed to draw their hand before they decide whether they go first or second. So the player who wins the dice roll draws their hand, and then they decide whether they go first or second.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's actually an interesting way to do things, especially being able to see what your hand can be if you decide to go first or second. That's quite interesting, because that can give you a bit more advantage over your opponent.
Yeah. So Ella here taking the mulligan, just shuffling the deck.
I believe Ella was the one that was their first TCG being played, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so it was Ella. This is her first TCG event. So understandably, she may be a little bit nervous today.
Especially being on stream. I know when I first got on stream for my very first game when I played my other card games, it was nerve-wracking, and I lost nearly every single stream match I played, which was very annoying. But we managed to get there in the end and get a couple of wins.
Yes, it is. It is quite nerve-wracking on stream. I think my first stream game was actually against you, Tyson, which was very pleasurable to be able to win.
Actually, your first stream game was not against me. It was against our good friend Alan.
Oh, that does make sense. I played against Alan a lot. All right, we do just see the Nexus come down for Anthony, and if I'm not mistaken, that is the one which will let him draw a card at the start of each of...
I believe it's called Volcanic Canyon, if I'm not mistaken. The one that draws one at the start of the turn and discards one.
That is correct. So we do see this splashed in to Anthony's list to essentially give him that little bit extra consistency. The other thing it allows Anthony to do is play his Star Blessed Jewels for cheaper, as well as our Burning Forces for cheaper, which is honestly a very smart line of play here by Anthony.
We do see the yellow player, Ella, play up 2 cards. It's opting to swing on the first attack and swing twice. So, as yellow would do, being very aggro, just low to the ground swings. Now that was the other second card she swung with. That's the one that has Luster.
That is
so if you
correct.
use any magic cards in that battle, you will gain it back at the end of the battle, which is a very strong effect because you can constantly just dump your hand with magic cards and get them back and have your full hand again. Yeah,
definitely. Luster is a very strong effect. There is a couple of yellow magic cards that draw cards during the flash step, so being able to draw a card and then get it back is an extremely strong effect.
Now, if you've seen the white player play the Pegacyclone, if that's how you say it, I can't pronounce it. Please don't yell at me. But that is the white sort of bread and butter play, having the armor red and purple. So yellow will be able to affect this card, but with it having a Soul Core on it and being level 2, it will be able to block every attack that has 2 or less Soul Cores on it while it's exhausted, which is an incredibly strong effect, especially against yellow, because yellow is so low to the ground attacks with very little BP. They are able to just block and destroy them all.
Yes, it'll be very interesting to see what Ella does in this position, as yellow also has a lot of magic cards that during that attack step are able to reduce your opponent's DP, which works extremely well with the Luster cards. So while Anthony does have this Pegacyclone, Pegacone that is able to block a lot of attacks, it may just be a bait as Ella is able to remove it very easily.
And now, one thing I've sort of noticed with Luster, it can be a bit of a double-edged sword, because you may use them and get them back to your hand, but your opponent now knows what you've got in hand and can play around those effects. So, bit of a double-edged sword there, but you've got to have pros and cons with effects like that.
Yes, definitely. And the other thing with Luster is the attacking card does have to not be removed mid-battle.
Yes, that's right.
So if you have cards, for example, the famed Core Thief that we saw yesterday played a lot, that will mean that all of the magic cards will stay in our drop area.
That's right.
And I believe from this angle, the Nexus that Ella has played is the Soper Bubble Lakeside, which has an effect during either a player's attack step, reveal the top card of your deck when one of your spirits that costs 3 or fewer is destroyed. If its cost is the same as the destroy spirit, you may add it to hand. If not, discard it.
Not bad. And we just see Anthony, he picks up one of the Star Blessed draws, so he's now going to be able to play that for 1 less. And if he likes, he can use that as a burst card, because yellow does have a couple of on-play effects that I've noticed when building my deck. And so you can definitely use it as that, but it might be worthwhile just going for the draw too.
Yeah, especially some of those low to the ground 2-cost spirits. For example, your Flying Turtles have an on-play effect, as well as some of the Penguins. For example, which one?
Pentan, I believe it's called.
I think it's... Pentan has not an on-play effect. Prince Pentan
that's right.
has the on-play effect, as well as your Rapier Knights and your... actually, I think it is just Rapier Knights and then Divine Flower Queen Marigold.
Beautiful. We do see the Rocket City coming down, and that card can be very oppressive when it has those 2 cores on it, making your opponent discard a card for each card they draw outside of their draw step, which is incredibly powerful.
It also does have the additional effect that when one of your spirits blocks, it gets 1000 DP for the turn. So it works extremely well with our Pegacones, which are able to block while in exhausted, as well as cards that gain the effect off of suppression.
Exactly. So once it just continues to block while exhausted, it can go up to 4, 5, 6, 7,000 attack, which is an incredible number, especially with Rocket City.
So we do see we are just passing the turn back over to Ella here, who has a rather small hand and a couple of hard choices to make.
I feel like what's just going to happen here is Ala's just going to try and build up a board and just keep it as blockers until she draws, some sort of an out to the Pegacyclone or however the hell you pronounce that card. And we'll just go from there. But the board setting up is where you sort of want to be at right now, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And for those of you at home who think we are crazy, the spelling of Pegacyclone is extremely weird.
It is, yes. So please don't judge us for saying it wrong, because I'm sure that all of you cannot say it right either.
We do see Ella play is that another yellow spirit we see there?
Look, yeah, it
Does it
doesn't
look red?
look like it's yellow. It looks red, but yeah, we'll see it. I believe that is a red spirit that costs Ella 2 to play.
I'll swing with Flamefish.
Yep, it's Flamefish when it dies. Kills only 4 doesn't do anything to destroy it.
And we do have the Pegacyone, I believe,
Scion.
is how you say it on the screen. So you can also see that it isn't just us.
Oh, good.
And that card just went to the discard pile. I'm not too sure why that's
I
happened.
reveal the top card of the deck.
I think it looks like we have attacked with it, and it has been blocked
Yes.
by the Pegacyone.
If 3 of your is destroyed, if it costs the same as the spirit you destroyed, add it to your hand. Nope.
Unlucky.
Then just doing the effect of the yellow nexus there to reveal the top card of the deck, and then if it is the same cost, we'll add it to hand. However, it was not, so it has thus been discarded.
Definitely a rough one when you're discarding the Blessed Cathedral, because that is one of those cards that Yellow does want to keep in its hand and on the field, because it just allows for some additional effects to pop off.
Definitely. And then just looking at Anthony's hand here, it looks like we have the big armored turtle as one of those cards, but we will be discarding the Rocket City off of that Volcanic Canyon effect.
All right, reaching for some calls, just sort of trying to decipher what they want to do.
That
I
looks-
believe that is the Elk in hand as
Yes,
well.
I was about to say the same thing. It looks like Anthony has the elk at the top of his hand, deciding whether to play, and that elk can be a massive problem here for Ella.
Especially with suppression, that Elk is huge. And I've got a feeling he has suppression in hand, which I thought I saw a glimpse of, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. Funnily enough, though, Ella's yellow Nexus here has a very strong effect which can counter Elk. It says if you've got the 2 cores on it, your opponent cannot block with spirits that have on-block effects.
Oh, wow, that is actually really good.
So it is a very strong card for this matchup.
But when the spirit blocks, it cannot be destroyed by those.
Here we just see Anthony pass turn, and Ella going into her next turn. The Pegacyclone also still has 2 cores on it with the Soul Core, so it does mean it can still infinitely block, which is, again, a really strong effect. And with Rocket City out, it's just going to keep getting pumped higher and higher.
Yeah, definitely. So even if Ella does go put those cores on her Soap Bubble Lakeside, the Pegacyclone is still able to attack, and we can still use suppression on the Pegacyclone
100%.
to block. But we do see the burst set by Anthony, which I believe that was his Starbirth.
Yeah, Starburst draw, yeah. If you can get it off, you're drawing 4 cards, and especially at a reduced cost, making it 3. It's definitely a worthwhile investment, especially if you don't have an absolute Ice Shield in hand. I'm sure later down the track, if he does have to get rid of it, it's not going to be too huge of a loss, as this board state right now is very, very oppressive.
Yeah, definitely. And it looks like Ella is just going to swing in with one of her skillesses with 3 cores on it. So I believe that will make it a level 3, but I will try and check that for you guys now.
And just going to block with Elk.
Oh, sorry, flash. Yeah, flash.
Okay, I don't think they can. It does have the soul core on it. I believe it's the whole core that says you can't, or level 2. Okay. Yep. So level 2, and they can block with Alk. So it looks like Ella wasn't quite sure there about the effects, and has just sort of allowed Anthony to block. And another Blessed Cathedral going to the discard pile. It's very, very rough for Ella. As again, that card is super important for yellow.
And I believe it is these Sword Angels that Ella has down on the field, which are her skills's, which have 3 cores each. They'll be a level 2 with 3,000 BP.
And there we go. That's just a pass from Ella. It's definitely a rough situation, but as we saw yesterday, anyone can come back from a rough situation. And I believe we've just seen another Pegasium get picked up by Anthony, and I'm certain they're going to play that one this turn as well, just to threaten a very impressive board.
Yes, definitely. And I believe the Pegacyclone does need the Soul Core on it to be able to get that effect, but Suppression also needs you to pay the Soul Core to get this effect. So White does have these block effects, but they all do rely on the Soul Core. So it is something to keep track of if you're playing against White and playing as White, as it does kind of determine what these White players can do.
It could definitely throw you off balance if you're not keeping track of the Soul Core. And maybe one day we will see the game develop into being able to have multiple Soul Cores. That would be quite an interesting way to play, but it also may give you some sort of a downside, like if you take a life to gain a Soul Core.
Yeah, definitely. And this Elk now is a level 2, I believe, so we'll be able to burn at the end of turn.
Yeah, very, very incredible card, and it's just going to I can't pronounce the card's name, but it's being returned to hand.
That is, yeah, the Odin type X has returned our Caldress to Ella's hand. The Odin type X has that on attacking effect. If it's a level 2, I believe, it will return a 3 cost or lower back to your opponent's hand.
That's right. Now, I know I say this a lot, but I really can't seem to see a world where Ella's able to bring this one back. It just seems that Anthony has so much value here. But all we can do is, wait and see, as there is a reason why these players are at the top tables.
Yeah, so we do see the Freeze Stool come down, which has during either attack step, draw a card when one of your spirits with a cost of 2 is destroyed in battle. So it is a very strong 2-cost yellow spirit here, but Anthony does definitely have the larger board state at the moment.
Definitely does. Now, Anthony may just opt to not block this one so that Ella can't get the draw. But also, at the end of the day, he's not going to get that effect off of Alk. So it's a sort of rough situation he's put himself in.
Yeah, I definitely do think Anthony will probably opt to block if Ella does attack with it. Just being able to burn that extra life means theoretically he can push for game next turn if Ella isn't careful.
And here comes another Caladrius with Luster, as we know. Incredible card just that puts in so much work.
Yep, and we do see here that Ella has the 2 cores on the Bubble Soap Lakeside, such that Elk cannot block.
Thankfully, they do have the Pegasium, so that card will block and go up to a fair bit.
Looks like they're just discussing how these cards work with each other to make sure that everyone is on the same page, and communication is key in a game like this, as you don't want people forgetting about effects that have been mandatorily stated.
Definitely don't. And if you are forgetting effects, it's not really too bad, as it's a relatively new game, and there are definitely ways to fix it. So you definitely shouldn't feel too bad about missing an effect, because you've got that judge there who can help you resolve that game state.
Yeah, most definitely. And this is probably a good time to point out, if you are ever worried about something, just call a judge. Judges are here to help. They are here to resolve game states and just to make everyone's life easier.
Judges aren't scary. I'm scary. Judges aren't scary. But I definitely want to say it's been amazing what our judge team has done over this weekend. They've taken time and effort just to put on such an amazing show for our players, and have done a brilliant job with their callings and rules.
Yep. So we see the Caladrius here be destroyed in battle, and then the bubbly soap Lakeside next is get its effect off.
Oh, don't worry. It costs 2 anyway. This one's cost. That was cost 2. Don't worry.
Seems like Ella has not been able to add any cards at all off of that Bubbly Soap Lakeside, which is very, very frustrating on her
Yeah,
end.
cool. It looks like we just forgot the free stall effect, and we just resolved it by quickly drawing the card.
And it does look like Ella drew that absolute ice shield there, so can definitely put that one down in the burst area, but I'm not too sure how well that's going to go. Oh, and Anthony taking the life.
Yeah, very interesting here that Anthony is taking the life, not wanting to go for the burn effect on the elk. However, is that Pegacyclone's, Pegasione's effect a on-block effect for the rest, so may not been able to block?
Yeah, it may not have been actually, so that's definitely an interesting one.
Yeah, it is a during your opponent's attack step, so maybe he just didn't want to block.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe wanted to keep it, but yeah, a bit of a weird one. But we'll see why. Looks like another discarding the elk. Not a bad idea considering you won't be able to block with it unless you do have that card to kill a Nexus.
The other thing to consider here is these lefts are the resources to be able to play cards. So Anthony may just have needed that one extra resource to be able to play a card he wants.
Exactly. So it looks like Anthony did draw into an absolute ice shield as well. So Anthony can definitely put that one down and get rid of the Starblast draw and be able to just go in with the absolute ice shield and actually burn Ella.
Yeah, absolute ice shield with elk is one of those kind of checkmate situations in some scenarios where it's like, I've got the card. Are you able to remove my elks?
So what I could honestly see doing is Anthony just going, cool, I got an absolute ice shield. I'm going to swing my entire board at you now, and I'm going to set that absolute ice shield, so I'm guaranteed to heal that life and burn you one. So you're either stuck at, trying to get me down 1 life next turn, or I'm killing you.
Yeah, definitely. And we do see the big Mecha Beast Fortress in Numagard come down, the elephant, which has the amazing when destroyed effect to be able to draw 3 cards and gain 3
favorite
resources.
card.
It is my favorite card. The old art looks absolutely beautiful. Trying to get my hands on a couple more.
I can't keep track of the cards.
I am glad it is not one of the X's, though, because I did not want to have to worry about getting a place out of that, because I do want to play white and purple. As mentioned, I'm stealing Luke's list.
Yes, it's definitely a very cool list indeed.
Yeah, I'm not sorry, Luke.
But one of the things that I really like here about Anthony's list is how much value he has got out of that Volcanic Canyon. Just being able to see an extra card every turn for essentially free, and then if Ella ever does do it when summoned effect, Anthony is able to use his burst effect to draw 3 cards for the cost of 3.
Exactly, and Anthony being able to return that card to Ella's hand is now left with 0 blockers and a threatening game just from here.
Yep.
We did see the absolute ice shield in Ella's hand, so they could definitely have used that one during the flash tap last turn or last attack, but opting to use it now.
Yep, so she's paying the cost and taking that 1 damage. Cool. And because it wasn't used as a burst, you do not get to gain the life back.
Yes, which is quite unfortunate, but it is going to provide Ella a new turn. And we do have Anthony with 1 in hand as well, but probably just going to be like, no, I'll be okay. I'll leave my blockers up and just go hard on there.
Yeah, so we do see the yellow X from the starter deck in Ella's hand, which is another Pegasus-looking card, which I don't think is as hard to pronounce. It's the Calamity Beast Chaos Pegasorosos.
That's not how it's pronounced, but I'll let you do that.
All right, we're taking it. It has a lovely during your attack step, all your spirits that cost 2 gain 2,000 BP. And if it's a level 3, when this attacks, select 2 of your spirits that cost 2 and refresh them. So it will be able to provide Ella at some point a bit of a burst in attack. But we do see a when summon effect from Ella. So Anthony is going to use his burst effect of Starblast Draw to draw 2 cards.
And most likely probably going to try and go for the draw 4. No? Okay, just going to go for the draw 2.
He wants to keep those cores on his elk to be able to stay strong and get the burn off.
Here comes the Pegasaurus.
That we just saw on screen. And Anthony's going to give it a quick read over.
Definitely a very strong card, and they can attack with a couple of the 2 costs. They'll get blocked with 1 card, but you then be able to refresh them. And if Anthony doesn't have anything in hand to be able to stop it. It could potentially end up being game, but we do know that Anthony does have the Absolute Ice Shield, which he has moved to the front of their hand.
Yeah, definitely. Anthony will have to essentially remove some cores from his spirits, as the only spirit that can block on Anthony's field is that Pegasione, due to the effect of Ella's Nexus.
What I can see is obviously it's a white card, so what I could probably see is Anthony's being reduced by 2, I believe, is it?
Ice Shield is just reduced by 1.
1, okay, so Anthony can probably block with a Pegasione and then remove the core off of that one and off of his one on the far right there. 2 of them to be able to get out of that attack and still burn a life.
Most definitely. As we do see Anthony's Odin type X restand due to its start of opponent's attack step effect.
But these two currently can't.
So we're just having a quick chat between the players, deciding what line of play to take, and we will see the Sword Angel attack. It has 3 cores on it, so it's a level 2, so it has 3,000 BP, if I'm not mistaken.
Now, will we see the Pegasione get the block off and then the Absolute Ice Shield come down?
Yeah, we could also see the Odin type X block here, as I did forget it does restand.
I'm on fire.
Okay, just deciding here, sort of figuring out what they want to do. It is a bit of a rough situation. You are on 2 life, but you do have 2 cards that can block. But as well as that Absolute Ice Shield, so you're sort of just like, how am I going to play this turn out? And it can definitely understand Anthony taking his time here.
So you just announce like when you go to attack step, these triggers say you can't block.
Oh, okay, cool.
Anthony shuffling that Absolute Ice Shield to the front of his hand, so we're sure that is his line of play that he wants to make. However, he's just deciding how to use it.
I'll play.
And there we go, yeah, just sort of going for it. I'm going to use it, but it's going to be hard.
Yeah, I think he's just deciding whether to use it in the flash step related to the attack or whether the flash step related to the block. And we are just going to use the Absolute Ice Shield here. It will cost 3. Mind you, that cost reduction is actually optional. So if Anthony wants to pay 4 for it, he is able to pay 4 for it. So we're going to take 2 off Odin type X and 1 off that Pegasione, as you suggested, Tyson, and that will now be destroyed.
What I want to know here is, would he be able to block with a Pegasione then and not take the life, or is Anthony just doing that because he's not able to?
I think theoretically he could have blocked with the Pegasione, but then if he still removed the core from it, the attack may have still gone through. That is an iffy one, which I'm not 100% sure of with
have
Tyson.
to find out.
So 1, 2, 3.
I can block it now.
Just talking through what which cores removed. I think Ella's expecting the Absolute Ice Shield to have to cost 4.
Yep, not
but-
realizing it's a white card.
Yeah, yep, it is a easy mistake to make, and we will see just the trade of the spirits there, and then at the end of attacks, at the end of turn, Elk will be able to burn and damage. We are just making sure we fulfill all our effects, so we're doing the bubbly soap spirit, and we do see a freeze still there, which is a cost, which she can add back to hand. Because Sword Angel does cost 2, Freezel does cost 2.
That's right.
So we do see the Elk effect that Anthony's pointing to. He has not lost life, so Ella will burn a life. Ella has 2 blockers to Anthony's 2 attacks, so it'll be interesting to see whether Anthony can develop another attack, or if Ella has another Ice Shield in hand.
Definitely.
Anthony also does have the option to put enough cores on his Numagard, just threaten a couple of attacks, and then afterwards restand everything and go for the last burn with Elk.
Which is definitely one of those sort of funny plays, which is like, I could kill you here, but I want to be funny and I want to burn your life,
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I would definitely be that type of guy that's like, I want to burn your last life, even if it costs me a game.
Yeah, definitely. And with the Numagard on field, Anthony can essentially go for both. He's like, I'll take my 2 swings, I will essentially remove your 2 spirits on the field, and then I'll get my refresh step back, and
And he does have suppression in hand too.
he does have suppression. But however, because of that Nexus that we do see on Ella's side of the field, this Elk is just not able to block at all. But I think that is a Burning Force we see.
Yeah, definitely Burning Force. We've also got the Numagard that you can give the suppression to as well.
That is very true.
I'll play a Burning Force.
Yeah, Burning Force being played just to get rid of that Nexus.
Yep. that Nexus has been very strong on Ella's side of the field. For Anthony not getting the full value out of his elk, we do have 4 spirits left on the side of Anthony, and we're just taking one of the spirits back because Anthony did forget that he gets to reduce the cost by 1 from Volcanic Canyon.
Now, with Burning Force, are you able to actually... It lets you neg things 2 by 2k, right? 2 things.
I believe you KO'd 2 spirits that have 3,000 DP or less with a
Okay. Okay, cool.
Flash. that is a tongue tire and a half. Slash and flash rhyme too much. Yeah, and we do see the block from the Prince Pentan happening here. So that will be a unalived penguin.
It's yes, it's definitely been scooter ankled.
And we do see the Pegasaurus.
Pegasaurus.
That's that's a lot of a neat pronunciation. Anthony just having a quick read over to make sure there's no effects on that card, which Anthony is unaware of, and we will see the attack come in from the elk. And it looks like before we go into the block step, we are going to be playing a magic card, which I believe is Spirit Bomb.
Return the Pegasaurus to hand.
Yeah, is that Dream Bomb? Main/flash, select one of your opponent's spirits and return it to their hand.
And that's it. Yeah, that's the end of the game.
And that is game 1 that goes to Anthony here with his wide control deck. Anthony from the start was able to develop a board that Ella couldn't really deal with, and Ella didn't have the most fantastic draws at the start of the game there with a bit of a slow start. So Anthony's control deck was able to just take control, no pun intended, and soar to victory.
And that's right. And with Ella having to mulligan their hand as well, that was a bit of a rough one too. And it looks like we do see a very, very cool-looking deck box from Ella as well.
Yes, was that double folded out. That's very beautiful.
Yeah, very lovely-looking one.
Very crisp indeed. Players just deciding what they side in here for these matchups. And I'm sure going into it, as a yellow player, you would have to be very careful of all these white decks running around. So Ella probably has a couple of those answers in her sideboard.
And not to forget that you can actually just put the 10 cards from your sideboard just into your deck and not have to, not have to side anything out. You can just go 60 cards.
Yes, it is very, very interesting to note that you don't have to remain the same amount of cards in your deck in between rounds.
A couple of cards here from Anthony, just sort of figuring out where to go. But on the back of that, how was the traffic today, Max? It was incredible, wasn't it?
The traffic?
Traffic today getting in here, I couldn't believe it.
I was just lucky enough to be able to walk from the hostel I was staying at, so I did not have to deal with any of this beautiful traffic there.
Lucky for you that you live in Canberra and don't live here. I live here, and the traffic, my God, I cannot believe it. Swerving in and out of cars. No, I'm kidding. But yes, getting here was rough this morning, and it does look like we're just getting back to the players just counting out their sideboard.
Yep. We do have a beautiful venue here, though, in Melbourne. We are at the Melbourne Convention Centre, who have have allowed us to host this amazing event.
And we've got such a big space here as well. The foyer, we've got all the product you can purchase, as well as just inside with the games being played. And as we mentioned earlier, our lovely judge staff who have been nothing but incredible throughout this weekend. And obviously thanks to Let's Play Games and Bandai for being able to let us run this event.
Yeah, definitely. And what were your key takeaways there from Game 1 in terms of the deck building that we see from these two players?
It was very hard to see the sort of deck building from Ella's side of things because the draws there weren't too great. She wasn't able to really pull together the way the deck wants to play, and sort of until the end, and there wasn't enough there. But Anthony having that the Volcanic Canyon in the deck, I find that very, very interesting, especially in white. Being able to draw multiple cards to see your answers to other decks, especially yellow, was quite an interesting choice.
Yeah, definitely. You do see players play the cards such as Star Bless draw 2 cards. However, Volcanic Canyon, while it doesn't allow you to get extra cards in your hand, you do see more cards. So after 2 turns, you've seen the same amount of cards as your Star Blessed draws, and some of these games go to turn 4, 5, 6, so you're able to see a lot of extra cards.
Yeah, being able to go so deep into your deck, so often is a very strong effect.
Yeah. And I do think that we see these white players essentially deciding that they don't really like their white Nexuses all too much, so they are choosing Nexuses from the other colors to be able to draw these extra cards. So you see either the Netherworld Depths come in some of those purple decks, for example, Luke, who had the white-purple deck, or you just see it in like your purple decks, or even just in plain white decks without the purple splash, you still will see those Netherworld Depths. And Anthony has decided to take the Volcanic Canyon route
And
for those
even
extra
white
draws.
red as well.
Yeah.
It seems that white can just get splashed into any color because white is so oppressive. It's one of those control colors, but it's like, you know what? I can not be control as well. I can just, push your stuff in.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Ella is deciding what to do. So Anthony is going for the mulligan, and Ella looks like she is keeping her hand.
I think I saw 2 Star Blessed draws in Anthony's hand, and I really wouldn't want 2 Star Blessed draws in my first draw, so definitely worthwhile getting rid of them.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting one, because Star Blessed Draw helps you see other cards, but you also kind of just want to see those other cards in the first place.
Yeah, definitely want that turn 1 Pegasion, right?
Yeah, especially into yellow, which is more of an aggressive color. You don't really have as much time to develop as you would, per se, against a white or purple mirror.
Yeah, exactly. Just trying to get the deck shuffled, all randomized, which is understandable. The 27 minutes left, plenty of time to finish games 2 and 3 if we need to go to game 3.
You put it back in the deck. That's technically mulligan. But you take out, but you don't put all your hands. Mulligan's like all your hands, right?
I don't think I was playing this game right.
How are we finding the product that we've opened so far, Max? The starter decks have been quite good.
Yeah, the product we've opened so far has been of very high quality. Having, as I said before, the texture on all the X and above cards is amazing. Just I'm used to only texture being on SPR cards, but having them on all the cards is lovely. I feel very blessed.
Yeah, definitely. And just texture on cards, I love it. It gives a nice sort of feel to it, a nice shine, and your cards just look amazing.
Yeah, and we do see that Bubble Lakeside Soap.
Soap Bubble Lakeside?
Soap Bubble Lakeside, that's the one come down from Ella, which did cause Anthony a little bit of a problem in game 1, but Anthony responds with his own Nexus, which is the Numagard Nexus, which is able to reduce the cost of your Mecha Beast, which is either your Elk or your Elephant, by 3 instead of just the normal one.
Which is huge, because next turn, Anthony could just play either one of them and start being super oppressive.
Definitely, indeed. So we will see what happens here. Ella does have 5 cores. We're going to play a freestyle for the cost of 1. We'll play a Blessed Cathedral here as well from Ella.
Ella definitely being able to see the Blessed Cathedral over, bursting them over the last 2 times they got rid of them.
Yeah, Blessed Cathedral has the very strong effect where you get to place a core from your void into your reserve when one of your yellow spirits is destroyed during either player's attack step.
And the level 2 effect, being able to draw a card when one of your spirits is destroyed as well, is quite strong, which is why you want to see the Blessed Cathedrals.
Yes, it definitely is probably one of the most value cards that you do get to see here in yellow. And we see the Odin type X come down from Anthony, which is the card that's able to bounce on attack. So we will see Anthony attack here and bounce the freestyle back to hand. So while Ella is just able to play the freestyle again down next turn, it does mean that she has to spend that extra 1 resource that she essentially gets here from life to redevelop the freestyle.
Definitely. We do see that 6-cost Pegasaurus in Ella's hand as well. Looks like they'll be able to play that one pretty soon with an absolute Ice Shield. So going into the burst, which is sort of just a straight away happening.
So we see the freestyle come back down. We see the Sword Angel come down, which is for free because we have those 2 yellow sources.
And with 4 more cores to go, you could see Ella just go really, really hard and play little cards, but we're going to go into the Pegasaurus.
Yeah, so this Pegasaurus here is able to essentially present 3 attacks because your freestyle and your Sword Angel can attack twice, and then Cyrus can attack again for a third time, and then restand your freestyle and your knight. Yeah, so at the start of the attack step, we do get to restand the Odin, which is a very, very strong effect to have.
Yeah, so basically allowing Anthony to get rid of one of the attacks, because that is, with the Pegasaurus, 5 attacks on field. But now with the restand of that card, it's definitely not game.
Definitely. And the Sword Angel does... sorry, the Odin type X does also stop 2 attacks because it will most likely kill one of Ella's cards. And we do see that the freestyle just gets bounced to hand there by that Odin type X.
Yep, and now Blessing Cathedral will not draw a card because it was not a level 2.
And you also get a 4.
Yeah.
But will gain a core into the void.
Good on Anthony here, helping Ella with some of those effects, which can be tricky to remember.
Definitely can be with multiple cards on field. But I wasn't quite sure that the white card that Anthony has, I keep forgetting the name, was able to actually return a card to hand when it blocked as well.
Yeah, so the Odin type X is level 2 and 3 effect is when this spirit attacks or blocks, you are able to bounce one of your opponent's level 3s back. 3 or cost 3 or less back to hand.
Okay, not bad.
So it is a very strong card, especially against yellow.
And here comes an Umagard. We've got one of White's sort of signature plays, being played out for 4 rather than the 8, obviously from that Nexus. And that card's going to put on a lot of pressure for Ella.
To have to deal with it, indeed. We do see the Odin type X go for the attack,
Does it have anything?
as it will be a
Okay. Right.
5k swing here. That took me a while to figure out.
I believe the Pegasaurus is a 4k BP on level 1, if I'm not mistaken.
I will quickly check that one for you, Tyson.
Are you any pass?
You are correct. It is a 4k BP, so if Ella was to block, she would have to...
Yeah, and the elephant is also a 4k with 1, isn't it?
it's a 7k with 1.
7k with 1, that's even worse.
It is a very big boss monster, and it becomes a 10k with 4 as well. So it is very, very hard to deal with. And also, when it's level 4, it gets that extra refresh step at the end of your attack phase.
Yeah, that is quite insane.
Odin type X has this little mini Odin refresh where it gets to restand at the start of your opponent's attack step. So you can attack and then block. So Anthony's just applying a little bit of pressure here with it.
Just sort of saying, I'm going to attack you and either you're going to have to block or just take this damage because I'm going to kill your guy.
Indeed.
And here we go. You got this guy come back down again.
Third time this freestyle has been played, and we may see the bounce for the 3rd time as well.
Now the real question is with that Nexus on field, obviously the card has a when attacking and blocking effect, but the card does only specify when blocking. So would that then mean it doesn't affect that card because it has both the when attacking / blocking effect?
It is definitely an interesting one, which may be what is being discussed at the moment here on the table while both players are discussing it over, and we will see what happens shortly.
Do you know in other Bandai games where where something specifies, say like an activate main or an activate battle effect, if a card says activate main / battle, then it isn't going to be part for that effect. So.
Yes, it is different in some of the other ones. However, I am not privy to this information for this game, as the rules are slightly different.
Keep us on our toes.
Exactly. Makes the commentary nice and fun. Ella just deciding where to place her cores, whether to put it on this
Pegasaurus?
or the Bubble Soap Lakeside.
Definitely one that you sort of got to look into and see what you really want to do here. But going into that 8 cost, I don't even know what it is. It looks like a rhinoceros, but it isn't really, is it?
It is the God Beast Behemoth. It is a 8 cost, which essentially will allow Ella to swing through with her 2 costs, and they won't be able to be blocked by level 2 or higher cards. So the Numagard will be able to block, however, the Odin type X, which is a level 2, will not be able to block.
Basically, what you're telling me is Ella is able to swing with the level 2, and then it just won't be able to get blocked, and you're good to go.
Indeed. So we're just having a quick discussion over something at the moment. But yes, so this God Beast Behemoth has a couple of effects. So one, it has a when summoning this spirit from your hand, you may use symbols of any spirits in your trash that cost 2 in addition to the symbols on your field for the reduction of cost. So at the moment we have 4 yellows on the field as well as that one 2-cost yellow in the drop. So you will be able to get 5 of the 6 reductions, so it will only cost 3. And that looks like what's happened here. And it has a level 2 effect, which only needs 2 cores to obtain level 2. When this spirit attacks, your spirits that cost 2 cannot be blocked by your opponent's spirits that are level 2 or higher during this turn.
Still an extra layer of protection.
Definitely, indeed. However, unfortunately, Numagard is still able to block our freestyle here.
Yes, definitely.
Once again, just having a quick talk over about how strong that God Beast Behemoth is by our players. And Ella just deciding who she wants to attack with first. I think that's 3 cores I see on the Pegasaurus.
Yes, that's right.
Which means it will get its level 3 effect. So it will be a 6,000 BP, and it has when the spirit attacks, select 2 of your spirits that cost 2 and refresh them. And also, if it's a level 2 or 3, all of your spirits that cost 2 gain 2,000 BP. So this freestyle, while only has 1 core on it, is still a 3,000 BP attacker.
Very strong.
So we see the God Beast Behemoth attack here, and Anthony just deciding what to do. I don't know whether it's just the light, but I can't see any cores on the Soap Lake Bubble side.
Definitely isn't any calls on it, so Anthony will be able to block with that card.
Yes, with the Odin type X, indeed.
I'll just get my
Oh,
cards.
okay, cool.
Not to you, but I'll get more.
So Anthony looks like he wants to block with that Numagard just for it to be able to be destroyed, because the God Beast Behemoth is a 8,000, and I believe the Numagard is going to be a 7,000. So it's a very interesting situation that we see from these Wyatt players when sometimes there's a chance for you to let your Numagard die, and you just want to because it draws 3 cards and gains and ramps 3.
It just gives you an insane amount of value just off of that. So it's definitely something that your Wyatt players want to get rid of when they can, and when they know they're able to.
So at the moment, because this Odin type X is a level 2 or higher, the freestyle will not be able to be blocked by it.
That's on 6,000. Did you want to look?
No.
And just sort of reading the Pegasaurus just to sort of figure out what they can do. But looks like Suppression's going to come down here.
Paying the 2 cores of it. So this will be in the first flash window on the attack to remove the 2 cores off it to allow Odin type X to firstly block while exhausted, because we did pay the Spirit Core, and additionally it's now back to a level 1, so it should be able to block that freestyle if I'm not mistaken.
That should be the case. But Freestyle is a level 3, am I correct? Or?
Freestall's still level 1.
It's a 3,000 BP.
Yeah, but it has 3,000 BP. And we are blocking the Odin type X, which I believe at level 1 has 3,000 BP, and then Suppression will give it another 3,000 BP. So it will be in total a 6,000.
It's incredibly strong.
And so that Suppression card is one that we have talked about a fair bit over the weekend, which if you pay the Soul Core as part of the cost, it allows the card that you give the extra power to be able to block while exhausted for the turn. And we see that there are 3 cores on this Pegasaurus, so it is 6,000 as well as this Odin being 6,000. So if Anthony really wants to, he can exchange spirits here.
And it looks like the players are just sort of figuring out what actually transponded there. But yeah, just working out that Anthony paid the 2 cores off of that card. I keep forgetting the name. I can't believe I'm doing it.
Odin type X. There we go.
Cost 2 games 2,000, but I was under that anyway.
Oh yeah, so yeah. Only
During this attack step?
during your attack step.
So I do have to swing with it?
No, during your attack step, so that's when you enter attack.
Yeah. So
So just all sort of figuring things out. With only 14 minutes left in the round, though, so things might need to pick up at this stage because you could get into that dangerous area of going down to time, and I can tell you nobody wants to lose the time.
Yes, and no one wants to have a tie in these games either, because both of these players, as we said before, are 3 wins, a loss, and a tie. So taking a win here is very important to be able to push towards that top 8 positioning.
Definitely, it's a really hard match going into it as well with white and yellow anyway. But
So
it will take a bit of a longer time.
it looks like Ella has just passed it over to Anthony with all his cores down here. I think Anthony in total has 10 normal cores, as well as his spirit core, as well as the one on Odin Type X. So he
That's
has
right.
a lot to work with.
Yeah, those 3 that he got off of the Numagard were really, really big. It looks like Anthony did draw the Rocket City. Now, I don't know if Anthony would want to play that one at this stage in the game. I think he'd sort of want to go more for an aggressive route or building your board back up.
Definitely, Anthony is just thinking what line of play to do, and we see another Numa card come down, which is a will cost 4, and it does have that same effect. So if this one is destroyed, you get to draw 3 cards and gain 3 cores from the void.
I could definitely picture Anthony just being, cool, I'm just going to pass turn. I'm going to let you attack with your God Beast Behemoth, and I'll draw 3 and I'll gain 3 again. Thank you for the resources.
It is definitely a very strong effect we see down here. I would like to see Anthony develop a little bit more of a board, so while he is doing all this blocking, he can still threaten games sooner rather than later.
Numagard.
And then we see another Numagard come down, which is perfect, to be honest, because at the if either of these Numagards survive the turn, Anthony is able to make it a level 4 during his next turn, and that will give him the extra refresh step.
With 4 life, he's in this a bit of a comfortable position because he can essentially just go, look, I might just keep these up. I'll let you take a few bits of damage, and now I'll go hard next turn.
Yeah, and unlike some of the other Bandai games, you cannot attack spirits directly. You have to only attack the players. So attacking with something is not necessarily leaving it in danger. It only just means you have 1 less block. We do see Alice come down here, which is one of Yellow's X's from the sets.
Just trying to find that card now.
Yeah, so Wonderland Alice, when this spirit attacks, select one of your opponent's spirits, reduces BP by 1,000 for each spirit you control during this turn. So it is a very, very strong effect, which essentially allows you to remove a blocker on swing when you have enough spirits down, or just reduce one of their BPs low enough that it will not kill one of your level 2s.
Yeah, lovely.
And the second effect is the level 3. During either attack step, if you control 3 or more spirits, when this spirit would be destroyed, you may place a core from the void onto it to keep it on the field exhausted instead. So it is also this kind of blocker, which will keep coming back and keep giving you extra cores.
I'm entering my attack step.
And looks like 3 cores on the Wonderland Alice as well.
Yeah, so 3 cores will make it the level 3 that is required for it to get those effects we were talking about.
Sorry, I'm going to minus 3,000 from this guy.
And that is getting rid of the Odin Type X.
Okay, oh, sorry.
Yeah, because the Odin Type X only had the 1 core on it, so it was able to minus 3,000 BP from it.
All my spirits that cost 2, so it doesn't bother.
And it is unfortunate because I only opened one of the Wonderland Alice myself, so I'm very, very upset. I cannot play it in my decks just yet.
Yes, it is unfortunately a very good card. Both of these Numagards on the field have 7,000 BP, which is the same as Alice. So if Anthony wants to block it, which he doesn't, he would have to let the Numagards be placed in the trash.
And Titobi is thinking, you know what, she's going to try and go in for a couple of damage here. I'm just going to allow that damage and swing hard next turn. Or maybe, the next couple of swings he'll block.
Yeah, additionally, if Anthony was to block the Wonderland Alice there, since it's a level 3 Wonderland Alice does get the effect to just add a core from the void onto it instead of it being KO'd, which essentially means that Alice gets to ramp as well as Anthony would get to ramp.
Very strong card. Now, I do see the Pegasaurus going after being blocked by the Numagard.
I think that was a little bit of a miscalculation on on Ella's part, as it means that Anthony gets a free block and doesn't lose any value for declaring the block there.
Just past turn here. Now, we do know that Ella does have the absolute eye shield in the burst area, so she is safe from that last attack, but not too sure how that's going to go in the coming turn because that hand is quite small and I don't see another eye shield in hand.
No, I don't see one in there either, but we don't see an absolute ice shield in Anthony's hand either. We do see, I believe it was the Spirit Bomb, which is another burst card if Anthony wants to play it.
The Spirit Bomb essentially just being a mini ice shield, am I right?
Yes, I believe so. I will find the exact text for you, Tyson.
Unless I'm mistaken, it might just be the one that returns to hand.
Oh, sorry, I think it is the Dream Bomb, which has the burst. Select one of your opponent's nexus and return it to your opponent's hand, and then you can play the main flash effect, which will return another one to your opponent's hand.
We do see that Anthony looking to bring out the Elk here.
Yep. So this Elk is essentially the card which is allowed to present the checkmate-like position for Anthony. And Anthony, with 3 attacks here, is able to essentially guarantee to put Ella down to 1. And by doing so, with the Numaguards getting the refresh step, will allow Anthony to then have 3 blockers to try and burn Ella's last life.
Exactly.
And with that refresh step, you do get all your cores back to be able to Dream Bomb one of Ella's attackers to prevent another damage as well. Just having a quick read over the Elk here.
Okay. So basically, I have to like sneakily kill it rather than attacking it.
Anthony has put 3 cores on it, so that will make it a level 2, so it will get its burn effect.
Okay.
So Elk has its burn effect when it's level 2 or when it's level 3, it gets its when block effect at all 3 levels. So if Ella does place some cores onto that bubbly soap lakeside, that Elk will never be able to block.
But we do have the Numaguards that can refresh if Anthony does put more cores on it, but it doesn't look like he's going to go for that.
I think there's 4 cores on one of the Numaguards, which will give Anthony the entire refresh step, so everything will be able to restand.
Oh, the entire refresh step. Okay.
So you get all the cores back, and you get the cores back from the trash, as well as refreshing all your spirits.
Sort of makes you think, do you really want to swing with that Numagard and let it get blocked? But no, he's just going to pass, I believe.
Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting one here from Anthony. So he still gets a refresh step to move the cores from the trash, I believe. So hopefully they do that here in a second.
And it is just allowing Ella that next turn as well.
Yes, indeed.
We're not seeing Anthony refresh the cores, which you can do.
So Ella is playing another Alice down onto the field here, which does provide another one of these spirits, which just can't be removed very easily, and as well as a skillless 2-cost yellow spirit. And we do see those 2 cores go onto the bubbly soap lakeside.
I have to clear everything first.
So now Anthony's not going to be able to block with his Elk. Unless he has a suppression in hand, he's sort of just,
Attack step,
sort of
my yellow spirit
hard
can't
for
be
choice
blocked
here.
with
He may have to just use his Numaguards and get rid of them.
Yeah, definitely. That one Numaguard, which
Okay.
is the level 1, will still get the when destroyed effect, though, to be able to let Anthony draw 3 cards and gain 3 cores from the void.
Definitely super strong. We are having most of the opponents of their games packing up now, so it might get a little bit loud, but we'll try and keep that to a minimum.
Yeah, we do only have 5 minutes left in the round here, and Ella does have to pull out this game. Otherwise, Anthony will end up taking the win just from getting that game 1 win.
Exactly.
Spirit you control during
But it has been a bit of a very, very rough game for Ella and Anthony this round. It's sort of just, gone back and forth, as we've seen from yesterday as well. One game, one person's dominating, the next game the other person's sort of dominating. But it's gone to more of a stalemate here, where both players are just sort of being very stagnant and trying to survive.
Yeah, so it looks like Anthony is going for the block. So both of the spirits will be destroyed. Ella's not going for that extra effect on Alice, but Anthony will be able to get the 3 cores and draw 3 cards.
Yeah, Anthony's still not being able to refresh is caused from Numagard, which I'm not too sure. You may not know why. You may not know you can't do that, but
I will.
Anthony just thinking things over here. And it looks like Ella also did miss the her optional choice of remaining Alice on the field there,
Yeah.
exhausted.
Spectators, please leave to the side of the room, please.
and here we are getting the spectators asked to leave. It's getting quite crowded around here and a bit loud, so hopefully we'll be able to get that sorted for you guys.
So this means that now.
It looks like we're attacking here in with the Behemoth, which I believe is the largest BP on the field. So if Anthony does want to block with the Numagard, it will be KO'd.
Yeah, wow, it is very strong, and no, we're just going for a suppression, so,
So
it
that-
will be an extra 3k.
That is the counter bomb, I believe.
Oh, okay.
No, not counter bomb, dream bomb, which will
Ah.
bounce it back to hand.
I see, so I'm just blind and can't understand what cards do.
Do I still get that effect?
It is a bit of a glary card here at the morning.
No, I'm just blind.
All right, the players thinking over. Ella thinking whether to attack here with the Alice.
He does have, Ella does have 2 more attacks, so can potentially go through and swing at, the life there and not get burned. But, it will be pretty hard to sort of swing through it.
Who is on 6,000?
Definitely. So Ella will be able to get that 1 life down, but it means she'll have no blockers left, which means Anthony just needs 3 spirits on the field to be able to end this game. And Ella's definitely going to be attacking with that Alice, which is a very strong decision, as this Numagard here will block and will be KO'd unless we see this suppression
We're going
come
to see
down.
suppression coming down, and Alk will still have enough cores to burn for the life.
And then he can block again while exhausted.
Indeed, because it still has its 3 cores on it, so suppression will give the Elk plus 3,000, and we did pay the Soul Core.
Soul Core.
That was atrocious by me. We did pay the Soul Core off the Elk, which means the Numagard is able to block exhausted for the rest of the turn.
That's right. And we did see that Alice wasn't kept on the field again by Ella.
So this time she wasn't able to, because you do need 3 spirits on the field.
Oh, you do? Okay, so that's my bad.
So we do just see, I believe it was the Soapy Bubble Lakeside
Yep.
reveal top card of the deck, which was another Alice, so Ella was able to add that back to
That's
the hand.
right.
So Anthony just having a think through of what he wants to do. We do see that Burning Force in hand, whether he just wants to take the KO on this Flying Sword Angel, or no, it's just Sword Angel. There's no flying in the name there.
There is a flying arc, though, so I can sort of see why.
I'll play.
Looks like that Burning Force is what's going to be the chosen card, but they're just talking through. We do only have less than a minute left before time, so it looks like it's going to be quite difficult for this game to meet a resolution within this time.
Definitely going to be difficult, but we have seen people pull back games quite fast, and Anthony able to take the life.
I think Anthony here believes he has enough attack just to push through for games. So even though they are getting close to time, there's a good chance that Anthony can take it on this turn.
The Numagard would have killed the vanilla, right? Am I not wrong?
Yes. I wonder whether suppression becomes a when blocking effect, so you just aren't allowed to
Maybe.
block. That is a beautiful card that we see there being played by Anthony, which I do not know its effects.
It looks like one of the 8 costs.
Is that the Dinosaur Harrier
Doesn't look like it, no.
Rexbone?
Maybe the alt art, if there's an alt art of it.
There is no alt art of it, but we'll see if it does anything. It could just be a body on the board in this situation.
Definitely could be. All right, so we've got Anthony going with the Burning Force. Probably going to kill the Soapy Bubble Lakeside, as they call it. Yep, there we are. That one getting rid of.
Yep.
And a Pegasion on the field too. So a bit of a big board from Anthony here.
Yeah.
Being able to present 3 attacks with Alla's no blockers. But we do know that Alla does have that absolute ice shield in their burst area, and it's going to be able to stop a couple of attacks.
Yeah, Anthony with a very heads-up play there to use that burning force, because that's what is stopping the Elk from blocking. So especially if Anthony has another suppression in hand, Anthony will be able to burn at least 1 life.
Exactly.
Table 9, table 26, and table 44. Spectators, please make way for the judges to get around the tables.
Yeah, it looks like Anthony just opting to pass here. Doesn't want to give the opponent any sort of opportunity to be able to take a life, because it doesn't look like he has suppression in hand. But again, as we know, we have that absolute ice shield in Alla's burst area. So it's going to be a bit harder for Anthony to close that game. But with 3 minutes left, I can't really see Alla being able to close this game out. So it may just go to Anthony on the game 1 win.
Yeah, I think these players have probably been told that they are in their overtime now. So Anthony has decided that his best route to victory is for Ella not to win.
Exactly.
So leaving all his blockers up to... I mean, Ella does currently need 4 attacks plus to get through all the blockers, plus another 2 attacks to get through Anthony's life.
Exactly.
And with a total of 5 cards, I believe, in Ella's hand, it does seem slightly unlikely for her to be able to get 6 attacks.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a hard one. I can see the 8 cards Blood Beast Behemoth in hand, another one to land Alice. But those aren't going to be enough to be able to push through.
Yeah, I do also see the Royal Potion, which is one of the magic cards that you are able to play in yellow. So Royal Potion, you refresh all of your spirits that cost 2. So it is another option.
I quite like Royal Potion, but I can't seem to figure out if I want to run 4 or I want to run 2. So it's one of those cards where it's just so good, but you're like, do I want to run multiples?
Yeah, it definitely seems like one of those double-edged swords, because it means you want to run all these 2 costs, but they just keep getting blocked and keep getting KO'd. So Alice does come down here for a total cost of 4, it looks like. And then we see... Oh, sorry, total cost of 5, there we go. And we see the God Beast Behemoth come down for 1, 2, 3... 3 less, 4 less, it looks like. 1, 2, 3. Comes, okay.
There's not a lot of 2 costs in Ella's discard. She hasn't seemed to draw any of them really this game.
Yeah, has been a little bit rough on Ella's behalf.
It looks like both games, Ella's just been really unfortunate with her draws, and can definitely sympathise with her at this stage, because it's very, very rough.
Yeah, we see another one of these 2 costs come down, which is, this looks like the red 2 cost that we were struggling to find a bit earlier, but I think I may know which one it is.
Entering my attack step.
That looks like a flame fish there to me, which has a when destroyed. If it does have the soul core, which Ella has put on it, select one of your opponent's spirits with 4,000 or fewer BP and destroy it. And one of the great things about a lot of this yellow support is it doesn't specify that it needs to be yellow spirits which have a cost of 2 for the effects.
With 1 minute left in the round, it does seem that Ella's just going to end up unfortunately losing due to time, which is a rough one, but it does happen.
Yeah, so it looks like we are just going to see the block here from Anthony with the God Behemoth. So Ella's God Behemoth will mean this Flamefish can't be blocked by level 2 or higher, but Anthony's just explaining how Elk says it will not be destroyed when it's blocked.
That's right. We've got 35 seconds left in the round.
I will swing with Flamefish.
Yep.
The level 2, so it can't be blocked by it.
Just trying to work things out, but yeah, I can't see a way that Ella gets this one.
Yeah, it looks like players are just discussing something over, but I don't think it will matter at this point in the tournament, or in the round, my apologies, as we only have 8 seconds left on the game clock.
So we've got Anthony just blocking with the Numagard, and Ella's not really going to be able to KO anything, I don't believe.
So that is, looks like time in the round, so these players look like they are going to be stopping play very shortly.
Yeah, which is quite unfortunate for Ella. They didn't draw very many cards, and in that last round, it was just very, very unfortunate on their end. So we are going to see Anthony take that one with a 1-0 win.
Yeah, so...
All right, so we are back after that round. We are going to go into a tiny break until we get into round 6, which will be the round 7, sorry, which will be the final round of Swiss, and then we'll have a short break going into Top Cut. But anything you want to say before we go on to that break, Max?
No, I think we'll try to get one of those games where it is a win and in situation for these top players. But we will see you guys in the next round.
Lovely.